As we get into this morning's live, I have to go grab my phone charger. I have a story to tell from last night. Sorry about that. So last night we had our power went out last night. Let me get into this real quick. How professional, right? Didn't even have anything set up. But last night our power went out. Fortunately, I was able to use some stuff because I bought a little generator, the Delta one, but I didn't have to really plug it in. It went out at 12 o'clock, 12 a.m. Came back on about 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. So we have power, which is nice. It's nice to be able to see. My son was not very happy about it last night. He was trying to turn the lights on, and he's trying to figure out why the light switches won't work. You should have heard him when the power came back on this morning, how happy he was. Something that I've talked about, and make sure please to hit that like button. If you're not part of my Facebook page, if you're not part of my YouTube, the Telegram, please guys, please pay attention to this. Last night I put in here and I talked about how we have a weekly gap to fill between $71 and $72 for gold. For silver. I talked about it. I put a post about it. Talked about it on my Facebook channel. Put a lot of stuff on here in regards to what I thought was going on. And then I put a little post today about the great rotation I just put out. We'll talk about more about this, but if you're on the Facebook channel, it's in the video description below and our pinned comments. And I talked about the weekly gap to fill. Some people watched it. Got like 800 views. I got 7,000 views on my Facebook channel yesterday. A lot of people have found their way over there now. So it was nice to at least see some people were getting some of the information. I tried coming on here a lot yesterday. What my theory is that gold, silver would start to pour out. And, it was such a volatile push up that I was calling for $70 to $72 after it made that wild move up to 84 yesterday, or 83. This is exactly what I was talking about yesterday, the gap between 70 and 72 on the weekly time frame. So now my theory is if money has to find yield somewhere, it's not just going back into a bank account. I believe this was a swift move overnight. So let's see if this can continue and we can have so basically what I put in my title, and this is not a guarantee that we will rally at all because this could fall right through here this morning. But what we're watching for right now, I put XRP, Bitcoin, crypto to take liquidity from gold, silver's flash drop, altcoin pump watch activated. And I'm serious about that. If this rotates properly, we could have a little altcoin pump here to end the year. However, if this fails, it's kind of like one of those duck and cover drills. If this fails, it's going to be a big problem. And if we can't even garner any attention this morning with all of that liquidity that's built out of commodities, it's over. It's over for the short term as far as we're going to go down farther than we wanted to, and then we're going to go to expansion, and that's going to be a nightmare. So right now we're in a very finicky spot because all markets are not doing very well. You've got the NASDAQ down 150 points. You've got the S&P down 26 points. And you've got the Dow down 172. You've got crypto super volatile. And by no means am I telling you to go out and buy or, that this is a guarantee or foregone conclusion, because it's not. What happened? Don't even tell me that this just reset already. You guys hear me? Hopefully you to go out and buy, or hopefully you can still hear me. You guys hear me? Yeah, I think you can. I don't know why it was trying to reset it, but it did not. So Would you rotate out of certain tokens? Or would you just sit tight? Bearded Viking, welcome in, and thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, along with Mrs. Stott, Mr. Stott. Let's see. Who else is 3 months? Bright Future, My Yard Now, Dan Marginal, Garbanzo. Thank you all for being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. So would I rotate out of certain? If this fails, I mean, the one obvious thing for me is, like, I gave Axelar a shot when it broke down that inverse pattern. I'm no longer interested in Axelar now. But as this goes, if this breaks down, it'll be a probably. Oh, I'll wholesale out of this if this breaks down here, and then if I were to buy back, or when I buy back, it would be a confined 5 tokens or less, and that's going to be a problem. But that's all I'm going to do, and that includes, it's going to be weird, but it would exclude it would exclude XRP Healthcare, because I'm not counting that as the 5 tokens, that just sits there. But it would be XRP, XLM, XDC, Algo, and then what? You know, I have VeChain and Epic that I don't count because it's on Crypto.com. This is for Kraken. But I can tell you right now, if this falls through, it would be a problem. This would be a massive problem. So basically what we're looking at here this morning, I can't tell if you guys can see me or not. My thing keeps flickering. So I don't even know if you guys can see me. Oh, you can hear me. Good. It just started to show. So, okay, good. So with XRP in the hourly, we're oversold in the stochastic RSI. 2 hourly, we're oversold. Maybe a possible reversal here. 4 hourly, breaking down a little bit. When you go into the daily time frame, we're still pushing up in a fashion. Looks like it could be I don't know if I would call that an inverted hammer candle, but it definitely is setting up for something here. Oh yeah, all the world states, silver absolutely has every reason to continue going into the future. This was just my retest I talked about yesterday when it was at 79, 80, 83. I talked about the weekly gap from $70 to $72. So I am not surprised that it fell down so hard at all. We talked about on Friday how even though silver was up 10%, how the miners were calling bullshit because they weren't doing anything, and now you can see across the board what's happening. Silver's down better than 10%. And this is fully anticipated. This was a fully anticipated move. If you want to look at something worse, platinum's down 15.5%. This is why you never buy on a big push up. West Texas, the crude oil, we've talked about how it's significantly undervalued versus gold and silver. It's never been this low in comparison. And now that's moving up a little bit this morning. So hopefully the capital rotation doesn't skip crypto here. Hopefully we can find a lot of this risk off and it can come into risk on. But we have a new year starting. We talked about tax harvesting at the end of the year. We talked about the Fed injection last night. Looked like they added about $25 billion or so for the banks. And what's happening across here, I might as well just share this. Fuck it. Good morning. 10:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, December 29th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I would encourage you to follow Clive Thompson. Does a great job, older gentleman, been around the block, tells you the truth. He was also on top of this correction down. But listen to what he says here.
In the it's called the Hindu Business Online. You can see the headline there. It says silver slips in Shanghai. In the Shanghai bourse, as CME Group raises margin and cuts limits. So what they're saying is that the position limits have also been cut. Now, I haven't been able to verify that independently. I did see the margin has been raised to $25,000 from $22,000. Although they say here it was $20,000. I think that depends on what type of trader you are. But anyways, they put the margins up for all traders of silver. According to the Hindu business line, they've also reduce the position limits, which means that you have no choice but to reduce your position. And the comment I saw here, it says here, if investors do not have the required amount in their accounts by...
Listen to this. By Monday, by today, listen to what they're doing to them. Here, let me rewind this just a little bit. This is so important.
Monday, that's today, which means that you have no choice but to reduce your position. And the comment I saw here, it says here, if investors do not have the required amount in their accounts by Monday, that's today, their positions will be liquidated. In other words, you're going to have your position liquidated whether you like it or not, unless you can come up with cash today. It also says here, CME has lowered position limits or the volume a person could hold. Traders said the CME was trying to protect those who had gone short. And I did warn about this yesterday. The CME or other institutions do try and protect people who go short. That is selling. That's the people who sold the silver, which they don't have. So they're trying to protect the shorts in the silver market. Now, I can't tell you that that is true. It's just what this newspaper is saying. There is another comment here which I found very interesting. It says that there's a lot of options with expiry price of $75 per share. That's silver options, where people have bought call options. And if they were to exercise those options, I think they said there's 41,000 contracts at that level. There just wouldn't be enough silver to exercise those options and turn it into silver.
So I don't want to keep watching that, but I just wanted you to get that little bit of information. Clive Thompson does a great job. Great job. If you don't know who he is, great job. But this is all a facade. This is all a facade. I can feel it in my bones. This is all a facade. JP Morgan's had a whole bunch of paper shorts in the past, and over the last 3 to 5 months, JP Morgan entity has been flipping out and buying. So they've been driving the price down on the paper shorts while buying silver bullion, the physical metal. So it's just something to pay attention to. The reason why I think that this is important is because money finds yield. We've said it a billion times. Money finds yield. Money finds yield. What does that daily candle look, or the daily setup look like for XRP? Does that look like a nice inverse pattern possibly setting up here? So far, I mean, what do we normally do on Monday? We're dumping into Monday, or pumping, and then we dump as the USA wakes up. Today, we were dumping into the USA waking up. Now everybody's getting to work on this Monday morning being demoralized. They're looking at platinum down 15%. They're looking at silver down 10%. You know, they're looking at gold down 4.6%. Remember where I said gold? It wasn't just silver. I've talked about this. The retest of the uptrend. And then if it can hold the uptrend, we're continuing. If not, we come down to 3,700. I have not been hiding from this at all. Not in the least. Now, if we hold this, we come up to 48.85. And then even with Bitcoin's move yesterday, I tailor-made the move, that initial push up for everybody. I put down yesterday when we were doing our live that we would come up to 90,300 or 90,030. And then I also showed the initial rejection on a different style right here. In both facets, it came exactly up to where we talked about yesterday. It was a perfect opportunity for a little squeeze. Now we need to see if this is going to hold now, because normally what you do, you get the volatile spike up, you back test the move, you do an overzealous back test, and if it's ready to continue, you find that extra liquidity. So I am not mad about what's happening this morning. I know it's an engulfing candle, and if it breaks down, good. Because at least we know a direction finally. And then we know that we need to tighten up on crypto. And you find your 3 favorite cryptos. and you go from there, or you find your 5 or your 1. Hell, I'm not even opposed to the 1 favorite crypto at this point because it's easier to be in the microwaves to do what you got to do if you want to. Everybody keeps Big Dog says called no alt season back in July. Fly him all over the world for his TA. Wait a minute. Benjamin. I don't know what that comment's referring to. Let's see where Benjamin's at. I don't know. I don't know. Benjamin Cohen called no alt season. I called no alt season back in January. July's cute though. July's already when we topped out. We were already. It's not even about an alt season necessarily. It's about the rotational move. You know, we had a artificial alt season, but it only lasted from December to January, or November to early January. But it's good that others are aware, but you know, it's one of those things. Scott Lowry, thanks for being in town on 3+ months with the XRP Meteor Silver Days. Happy Fox, good morning. Mark Casson, thanks for being in town on for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Big Dog, the Cannabis Podcast, thanks for being in town on 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Happy Fox Super Formidi, welcome in. All the World Stage, Maple Man, thanks for being in town on 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Debilly, welcome in. Arelli, good morning. Crypto Cooter, thanks for being in town on 6+ months with the XP Predictor and being a very trust mod in here in the Telegram. Mrs. Stott and Mr. Stott, thanks for tuning in. Arichi, good morning, and thanks for being in town on 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Jerry Clark, thanks for being in town for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. Carl, thanks for being in town for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. AA Yush, thanks for being in town for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens, and that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. 2 Ravens, thanks for being in town for over 2 years with the XP589 Moon badge. Crazy pull over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. So very blessed to see all of you, and thank you all so much. And finally, last but not least, Glenn Barlow, thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Tom, would you open any positions at the moment? Glenn, no. I mean, that would be up to you as a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give you financial advice, but at this particular moment, you will have to have some testicular fortitude to buy it here. I'll be straight up. Because this could just as easily fall through and break our balls here in a very big way. If this doesn't actually take that capital and rotate. Now, I'm not telling you not to buy because you have to make that decision on the inverse pattern. Like, in no way am I telling you that there's not an inverse trying to set up here. But if it breaks down, this whole thing will go, and then you'll be buying in for a back test of 265 and the 2.65 trillion. So you got to be aware. I'll tell you right now, if it starts to rotate down and it loses this setup, I've already got a few tokens on the chopping block that I think, you know, I could live without. But I seen the question about SHX. Nothing's changed with SHX. I mean, supply shock, all this other, too many tokens. There's a lot of these that have too many tokens. But right now, I mean, where we're at, it's basically setting up the USA right now in a very bearish way. Just if the capital continues to rotate out of gold and silver today and out of mining stocks, it's got to find yield somewhere. I talk about this all the time. That's a lot of money exiting gold, silver, mining stock. That's a brutal pull down. And yeah, for every pull down like this, you're going to have a retest back up. But, you know, we hit the total resistance here on everything. So if these are resistance pulls, like on Silver Court Mining, that means it could come all the way back down here if it wants to. Now, is it going to go straight down? I mean, it went straight up, a lot of things, but you're going to have some kind of wild retest on these drops too to confirm it. I don't know. This all looks a little strange to me, to be honest with you. The way it's building, it doesn't seem appropriate the way that this happened. This looks like it was a collective effort here to do exactly this. This looks like a very collected effort, in my opinion. It's not something that we didn't see coming, but these kind of things these are crazy things. These are I mean, this for Dolly Varden looks like it wants to come all the way back down here to 443 and test that area. These could be big topping reversal patterns. This is that tax harvesting again, though. I mean, you've got harvesting going all over the place. You've only got a couple trading days left to do this. So, I mean, am I in shock and awe right now? No, actually, it's quite the opposite. It's a strange spot to be at right now. It's a strange spot to be at. We're going to start going up till April. They are going to crash gold and silver. This is going to be the black swan. Very well could be. Yep. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to pay attention to here. I mean, we've had such a big rise up that, I mean, you can't go unabated forever. And when you want to talk about going parabolic, that's what happened. Now, there's a lot of, you got to understand, like Shanghai is doing things. There's a lot of stuff going on. What goes up must come down. And I talked about it on Friday, even, and Saturday. One of my biggest fears is everybody skipped out on the silver and gold run, and then it gets to $80 and everybody wants to start buying it. And that's the easiest time, just like with the miners. Everybody starts to look at it and say, oh, these are can't miss moves. But then all of a sudden, you know, you're talking about a 1-day drop that ends up being explosive, just unbelievably explosive. And it becomes a little scary when you're looking at it from the outside. Like, I'm on the outside with all of you. I see what's going on. It's not, this isn't the great picture that we want at all. This isn't what we're looking for. You know, but you also need to dump out sometimes. Like, it wasn't an impossible thing to see. But I believe this is probably a preemptive strike to get retail out of whatever positioning they hold in gold and silver, especially the physical. And we're going to find something strange start happening new year. I've talked about how this next year is not going to be what we're used to. It's going to be a brutal start to the year. And we have to pay attention to the rotations. And the bottom line is if the risk is outweighing the reward, even in risk assets, and we can't find the capital, we have problems, big problems. That's why this is an awe-inspiring moment. If this just falls through right now in risk, it's going to be a problem. If you can't take the capital that just came out of gold and silver and the miners and throw it into risk right now, and I would expect some kind of wild volatility to retest some of these drops on the miners, but you never can quite tell. Just like I expect silver to retest these drops every step of the way like it did last night. But, you know, we'll see how this happens when they start to put this into a full-blown assault here. Like, in the morning, it's hard. It's definitely hard. There's always going to be big shakeouts, Mrs. Stott, in gold and silver. But we also have to be wise enough to see where that shakeout and where the money goes. Right now, it's not coming into crypto at all. It is not going into crypto at all. In fact, the way it's starting this morning is a little flat, especially for this kind of a rotation. It's pretty flat. We're looking for a little bit more upward volatility here. We've got everything across the board. I mean, some things are eking back up a little bit, trying to retest the drop points, but it's very, very, with these inverse patterns, this would be a back test of a continuation if it could hold. However, if this back test of the continuation doesn't hold, it's a problem. It's a big problem. But when you start to see the combined efforts here, it almost, you know what it almost reminds me of? The slap across the face before the kiss on the cheek. This feels like an assault before like before a springboard. I don't know how to explain it. This doesn't seem right to me. The way this did it is exactly what I would have done if I wanted a continuation. Or maximum liquidity tugged. How would we know if this expected rotational move fails? Simple. If you see Bitcoin drop 85K, in my opinion, if Bitcoin were to drop 85, hold on, let's go to this chart. Actually, let's go to the other one because that's just below 86, but we need the lower version. Right here. 1, you don't want to break that. 2, you would love to keep this rotational consolidation. That's what you want to hold to springboard you up into 93. But remember yesterday we talked about 90 to 92K for Bitcoin was a guarantee. It had to hit that range because it had liquidity. Then you would have to back test to try to hold. And then if it holds, that's where we could probably push into wave 4 expansion. That first run up was nothing. All that first run up was to hit that liquidity gap. Now I needed a couple of factors to help play this out, which we got with gold and silver. We absolutely got. But now we need the follow through. Remember, what do we normally see on Mondays? We normally see the market pumping as we wake up. And it was pumping overnight, and then it started dumping hours ago. We woke up to red. And we woke up to seeing gold and silver getting brutalized. So this is kind of the opposite of what we're used to on a Monday morning. Normally I'm coming here Monday morning saying, oh, you're at work 10 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're waking up 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Or getting ready for work, and it's 9:30 for East Coast or the Eastern Standard Time at work. Now Pacific Standard Time gets up and takes their shower at 6:30. Now it's 7:41 on the West Coast. But now instead of the market completely dumping out, it kind of did the opposite. And now it's looking like instead of continuing the dump out, now everybody's looking saying, "Oh, it can't possibly go up." There's no tenacity left in this market. And then you start to look at it and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Is there actually tenacity in this market? Are we getting played, or is this actually going to fall out? That's our question this morning. We've got on the first, the escrow dump. We've got tax harvesting that finishes. We've got the potential possibility of a world war coming. All eyes would be off of risk assets, which is why my eyes are completely focused. Now, the one thing that's bothering me still is trying to figure out oil. Oil's displacement with gold and silver. This could be the caveat to this whole thing. Because if it rotates into oil, because you see this inverse pattern. Boom, boom, boom. And that's just in the smaller time frames. If it starts to rotate, if we start to rotate into black oil now, boom. We'll see if this holds. But if it does, now all of a sudden we've completely exhausted ourselves. And now money's finding rotation or finding yield, not into crypto. We were hoping it would come down here one more time and tap this 51, but it did not. It did it right here. And now if it pushes up, you're talking $68 a barrel. What's Trump going to say if it's at 68? Now we can't even harp on that. It's Jacoby, welcome in. Thanks for being in Town Zone for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. It's one of the reasons I like coming here every day too, whether it's very shaky, very volatile, whether it all looks like hell or it all looks like glory. I think as long as we're here every single day, we stay in tune. We stay in lockstep. We can stay in the moment. Seriously, we can stay in the moment. XRP is a digital savings account, so I'm glad I'm in the digital system. I disagree with that. Don't look at crypto as a digital savings account. Otherwise, you're going to get digitally enhanced to 0. You can get your ass kicked. No. Crypto has never been a digital savings. It is a risk asset. It can never be defined as a store of value or a savings account. In my opinion, it should never be in a retirement account. It's too volatile. But it's a risk asset, so you can exponentially increase your wealth in very short durations. But at the same time, you cannot use it as a savings. A savings account is to save, increase the value. You can't guarantee that with crypto. You can't guarantee that with anything. But you want to do that with a store of value. To be honest with you, at most times, I'd rather have US dollars than crypto, even with their rate of return diminishing. The only thing that's dying worse than the dollar is crypto this year. Crypto is year over year from the top has fallen a lot faster than the dollar. So you actually would have done better holding on to the dollar the last, 6 months. I don't like to refer as crypto as a savings account, a store of value. I don't like any of that. I think it's all a facade. That's Mr. Sod. I don't know what to do here because I've already got enough gold, silver. I don't want to buy it anymore. But what I want to do is I want to see these miners obviously retest some of this drop and see what happens when gold and silver retest some of the drop. But I'm very interested in oil. I'm I'm so interested. But see, NOG hasn't done anything. It's the thing is though, it's way oversold in the daily. Weekly is still making me a little concerned that it's way up there. Monthly's phenomenal. But it makes me feel like the monthly's showing us a reversal, and maybe if we're patient, we could wait this out, and maybe it would come down here to 15 again. I'm being patient here for that flow. Bearded Viking said, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in the community. You make it a lot easier to keep moving forward with everything. Some days are harder than others. Thank you all. Bearded Viking, thanks for being in town 3+ months with the XP Meteors. We continue to pray for Mighty Marcus, your son, as he continues to fight the good fight. I know it's an exhausting fight, but it's one worth fighting. We look forward to having Marcus around with us for many, many years to come. And we pray to our Lord and Savior, Yahweh and Yahshua, for that guiding spirit, for the healing power. And we call on God to make sure that not only you, but your son, Mighty Marcus, is doing this as comfortably and as little as pain as possible, even though that's impossible, so to say. We ask for that guiding light. Amen. And for everybody who said a prayer for Mighty Marcus, please, continue to keep him in your spirits, because I believe in unity, I believe in the more than one person recognizes and speaks the name of our Lord, God becomes presence in our actions. I really do believe that. Thank you very much, Happy Fox Super. Thank you, everybody who said amen there as well. UJ Ray says, would you like me to buy oil so it drops? Anybody who has that ability to make it drop when they buy, sure, go for no. I don't want you to lose money if it does drop. But look at even the, isn't it interesting that crypto, even with the drop, we haven't gone anywhere? Like, basically, we had that little push up just to come back down to neutral. In fact, some of them are still up from that neutral positioning. And, like, ADA was in a falling wedge. Looks like it put a nice reversal pattern, but now we need to see if it can. I mean, this almost reminds me of what XDC did a couple days ago. Had that initial push up, and then it back tested the move. It almost reminds me, like right here, when it came up, and then it back tested right here, then it pushed up again. This almost looks like what a lot of crypto is doing right now. It's in this phase. And then we came back up here as well after going to 4.9. Then it went back up to 5.2. Now it's doing this. Maybe back test again. So unless this falls through, I've been saying it and I'll say it again with XRP. I still look at it as if it's in a bullish megaphone until it's not. Right now, for us not to have a valid megaphone, you could come all the way down and down sub $1.70 now where we're at. That's the crazy part. But you don't want to keep tugging that area. I would first look at this, make sure we stay above this. And right now, though, look how far this has come, $1.79. So, this is a crazy thing. Yeah, 83 likes now. I really, really appreciate that. I know there's 147 people and only 83 likes, but 83 of you took the time to hit that like button. Yes, I concur that if everybody would hit that like button, we could pass this around and more people could see this. But I'm very happy with everybody who takes the time. Amen to that, Bearded Viking. There's strength in numbers, especially if it's the right numbers. I, this is one of the craziest Mondays that we're going to see in a long time. Very, very crazy thing. You can't fall from the floor, but you can break through. Yep. Ain't that the truth, Happy Fox Super? Ain't that the truth? Unfortunately. Jordan says, yeah, I like that Jordan said to hit the like button at least. I appreciate that. The likes are important because, you know, when we're in this kind of a rotation, you're not getting a lot of monetary support, so to say. So the likes keep you fueled. The shares, the subscribers, the ones who subscribe even in the rough times, shows you that they'll be there in the good times if they can survive the bad times. So this is a good thing. 100 likes, that's great. I appreciate stepping up, everybody, and hitting those likes button. Look at this algo though. Is algo exactly what we're talking about? Starting to front run this. Could algo be the first mover here, showing us after this consolidation what we were talking about? Possibly here. This is a good sign. Could algo be the first one to be out in front here? I don't know. What do we think? Do we think algo is trying to show us something here? Because that's a pretty nice reversal that started here for algo. We'll see if it can continue, but that bounced exactly what we were talking about. 11.6 up to 12.9. Almost back up to the push-up yesterday at 12.2. Hopefully that's the start of something here. Oh, yeah, XPR. Shit. Well, for Axelar, just for transparency, it's not over yet for me, but it's almost over. If it breaks down this rotation and then comes down past a certain level, well, then it's over. It's not quite over yet. It hasn't broken this down, but it's close. I'm not adding. I'm not buying anything. I'm just letting it kind of play out the way I have it. I'm okay with having like 30,000 tokens because a 10% drop would only be a couple $100. But that's as deep as I was willing to go, so that's how deep I am in Axelar. But I don't know how long that proposition is going to be. I do believe that there's going to be a wild return rally. Just wild when it happens. I love the kind of dump out we're getting out of the commodities, precious metals. It's the exact reason I was warning a couple weeks ago and last week that my biggest fear is that everybody's going to start getting into this capital rotation when it's too late for mining stocks and gold and silver initially. It was one of my biggest fears, as all of you know, because it's a lot easier for people to buy. I talked about it with my dad. Talked about it with my dad yesterday. I've been trying to buy him to tell more silver, tell him to buy more at 20, 15, 25, 28. Never told him to buy it when it was on the way up. And then when it hit 80, he was saying he was going to buy more. And I said, are you out of your fucking mind? Excuse my French. Are you out of your mind? Why would you buy? And then I knew we were probably reaching some kind of plateau. And then I put that thing out about the weekly gap yesterday. That's why, like, all of retail that skipped it was like, oh, now it's a good time to buy. Is it? Is it? When we're at all-time oversold levels, overbought levels in the history of the metals, is that really the best time? I'm just asking my audience, is that really the best? Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening? Like, is that what happened? It became so necessary to buy when it was way up. Is that what happened? Because now I can guarantee anybody who did that is already looking to get rid of it. And they're not even going to be able to sit through this. Like, it's crazy. It's just crazy the way the human brain works, isn't it? And look at XRP Healthcare is another one. Maybe this is another one that's telling us that it's getting ready. We'll see if it can continue, but it's getting overbought now. But we'll see if it pushes up to like 4.7. But this is another one that's starting to come back up here this morning. But man, oh man, this is gonna be a wild ride, folks. It's gonna be a wild ride. If you didn't think 25 was volatile, oh boy. Let's see. MPR says, what was your other comment, MBR? MBR. Shit, where was your other comment? I don't see the first one. I see you responding to something, saying that you were only asking because of something, but I don't see the first comment. All I see is, I asking because I don't know. So for tax harvesting, is it better for prices to fall and claim losses? It all depends on where you're at within your taxes. So in gold and silver and mining stocks, there is a chance that anybody who was up in paper gains, like are in the stocks, depending on where their portfolio was at, let's say they had overall losses and then they wanted to offset the gains, they would sell out at a gain on the miners, and through their stock market holdings, they would take those as a gain. But most people end up when they're trading, they're down, so they tax harvest to the downside. Well, it all depends on where your portfolio value's at. You know, it all depends where you're at. It's hard to say if it's going to be worse to the downside or the upside, but I can tell you most people aren't tax harvesting for gains, which means the price, if it's driving down, would help people sell rather than buy. It's very uncommon for people to just tax harvest gains unless they're way down and they have an asset that's up. It's a lot easier to harvest it to the downside. That's just the reality of it. Buying gold and silver through Uphold, absolutely not. I would run as fast as I can. I would never buy it through them. Now, I can't tell you, I'm not a financial advisor, but no. JM Bullion, Scottsdale Mint, things like that. Stay as far away as you can from buying it on an exchange. That's just me being as real as I can. The fees are outrageous. Absolutely, Happy Fox. That's something that keeps me very, very, very encouraged by Axelar. The fact they didn't dump out. But, you know, a lot of times, like you said, they sell off the old team's holdings. But then, if what's left over, if they're willing to rug pull it, well, then you know it's over. They haven't technically rug pulled it yet, which it makes it to where I'm still interested a little bit. Like, I'm still interested. I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed right now. Why would the capital rotation go into crypto? Simple. Risk on to risk off. Risk off to risk on. It's as simple as that. If you're finding yield and risk off, a safe commodity, a safe asset, you're going to take it away from the risk asset. If you no longer feel like a risk off, a safe haven is safe anymore because of volatility, well, you're easily going to take it from a safe haven to a risk asset. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. Because if you're going to have a risk anyhow, you might as well go into the one that's more volatile to the upside if it happens. That's just my opinion of what people are going to think. Whether that thought process is right or wrong, we won't know. But that's, I hate Uphold. You'll never get me to say one good thing about Uphold. They stole 1,000 XRP from Julie. And it's been like that for several years. And they closed her account. She paid several years of taxes through Uphold. She was honest about all of her information. She verified properly. It was working for a couple years and she had good profits. And then all of a sudden, they shut it down with no recourse. So no, I vehemently would tell everybody not to use Uphold. I would never say a single good thing about Uphold. And for everybody who continues to gamble with Uphold, that's exactly what it is, because I can only tell you my experience. And if I'm telling you we got the old bamboozle, I would recommend KRAKEN because of fire blocks. And the fact that if you do KRAKEN Pro, you get $10,000 a month in fee-free trading. And I've done it to the tune of $30,000, $40,000 at once. And the fees are minimal. Like, I can swing trade on KRAKEN. Now, you have to watch certain tokens for volatility. But on the majority, if you're talking about XRP, XLM, HBAR, XDC, Algo, Band, Linea, SHX is a little more volatile, so you have to find the right moment. For Shiba, even, for all of those, the volatility is good. You can get in and out. You can do what you want. And you don't have to worry about it. Axelar, same deal. It's very simple to get in and out. All of these are. XRP Healthcare's up 6.1%. Algo's up one of the sneaky ones right now, 1.35%, almost like it's telling us what's coming. You pull on CC Canton. Interesting. I remember when you were talking about that before. I do have a link in the video description below and our pinned comments for KRAKEN if you're interested. That's the only thing I share now because it's a tier 1 exchange with fire blocks. And the good thing about fire blocks is that that's your verification that you own it. So even if something goes wrong, yeah, I used to have the Uphold card too until they banned it in the USA. I mean, everybody eats their own. Everybody asks me what I think about Uphold. You know, I can scream it at them blue in the face. They stole my crypto, or Julie's crypto. They never gave it back, and 1,000 XRP are worth almost $2,000 right now. So hey, if you trust it when I'm telling you what my personal experience is, that's not. I can only tell you. That's what everybody does, though. It hasn't happened to me yet. Hasn't happened to me. Most people who comment to me in the comments haven't made any profit. That's why it hasn't happened. Yeah, well, the 7-day hold period. See, I was sending money from other exchanges to KRAKEN, but yeah, I definitely don't like the 1-week hold when you put when you deposit money from a bank account. So they didn't give a reason. Zero reason. They just said, unfortunately, we're unable to give you. It said, unfortunately, we have to make tough. I showed it when it was going on. Tough decisions, and we had to close your account. It says to go into your account, but then when you go to try to do it, it tells you the account doesn't exist, so there's no recourse. I've tried. Everybody tells me who to contact. I've tried. Believe me, you're talking to the same person who was able to get his DGB back when the DGB wallet stole it, and I found the creator of the actual wallet to get back into it and get me my stuff back. So I understand how to go about ways to get your stuff back. It's a dead end with Uphold. Just go look at some of the stuff. So that's just, my opinion is because somebody told me that they lost 6 figures on Uphold. I took them seriously. I started to take stuff out of Julie's account because she had a lot more than 1,000 tokens. She had about 10,000 XRP in there, amongst other things. And yeah, so once I started moving it and she was up in her history on Uphold through all the tax returns, it was like 30 or 40,000 over a period of years is what it ended up being. There were no problems when she was losing money, but it was the moment she started making money and we started withdrawing it because we were buying the house and we started to withdraw larger amounts, and then all of a sudden that's what happened. You guys can tell me what they should have done, but they didn't do it. You should ask some of the people who lost 6 figures on Uphold. You know? They should have, could have, would have, but they never do. So everybody always tries to justify Uphold. I'm going to get off the topic because I don't want to talk about Uphold. Nor do I want to give them any spotlight on my freaking channel. But everybody always circumvents what I'm saying. Always gives me a reason why it's okay. Okay, I mean, that's up to you. If you trust anything I say, but then you ignore that one point because you say it hasn't happened to me yet, well, it hasn't happened to you till it happens to you. Just that's the way it goes. Go ahead. Wait until you make $30,000 on something or 15 and try to take it out. The moral of the story is there has to be more to the story. There is not more to the story. That's what sucks, Corey. There's zero more to the story. What more could there possibly be? I've been talking about this for years. But yeah, that's my position. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can only tell you my experience. So I've seen this play out 1 billion times before, and I'm going to see 1 billion people in my audience get broke by it. And in the future, it happens all the time. Nobody cares because it hasn't happened to them. The hell with what everybody else says. It must have been a mistake. This shouldn't have happened. Like, I've heard it all. I hear it all. I've heard it all, and I'll continue to hear it all. 99% of the people I tell it to, they say, it hasn't happened to me. What do I care? That's great. Let me know what happens when you make a significant amount of profit. That's all. Everybody always tells me that it hasn't affected them, but has anybody made a bunch of money? Has anybody made any profit, or are you losing money on Uphold? They love you when you're losing money. So anyhow, moving on. We're already 50 minutes in, so we definitely gotta get this in the right direction because I gotta get going here soon. Could that be an inverted hammer in the daily? We certainly hope so. If it breaks this down and we lose that $1.80, I mean, we don't want to keep coming down. Like, we want to take some of this ability here with liquidity. Trying to see what other token, like, the one thing that's ironic right now is the fact that algo is starting to push. I love seeing this. I just want to see if this is an anomaly or if this is the start of most of them coming up. Like, this would be 12.69 if it actually came up here, but this could very quickly just be a push up, roll down, just a little bit of a facade, trap a few, but look at that, just dropped 1.6%. So, let's see. You could, there's nobody to call, guys. I've tried it all. Everybody always tells, go ahead. How about this? Act like you have a problem and try to solve it right now with Uphold. With your account available. Go call all these places you're telling me to call. That's all I want to know. You know, that's, everybody always has a solution. I'm telling you, there's been no active solution that worked. And like I said, I have had 2 million DGB stolen by the DGB wallet that I was able to get back. So if I was willing to go to those lengths and get that done, you can only imagine what I try to do with Uphold. That's all. SHX speculation. I don't know how true it is. The money pack rumors. So, what the fuck is that? Wow.
Based on current information from late 2025, there is no legitimate partnership or official connection between Stronghold, the fintech company / utility token SHX, and MoneyPack. If you have encountered a claim linking the two, it is highly likely a scam. Here is the breakdown of the situation regarding the rumor and the actual state of Stronghold. 1. The MoneyPack scam pattern. The rumor of a Stronghold MoneyPack likely stems from a common social engineering tactic. Scammers often use the names of legitimate rising crypto projects to add an air of insider info or credibility to their schemes. The red flag MoneyPack is a prepaid product used to load cash onto debit cards.
I didn't see anything when they did a quick scan, but I don't know. I'm going to have to research that. You call them on the phone with menu issues. Yeah, they're going to be able to help with that. Hello. Yeah, oh yeah, we went from last night, everybody. Remember, I was 55 degrees. Now it's snowing really hard. And it's 24 degrees now. So it went down 31 degrees overnight. So I went from 25 yesterday morning to 55. Now it's back to like 24. No, I know, John. I'm just trying to tell people the truth. Just trying to tell them the truth. But trust me, I get all the negative response every time I talk and say something about Uphold. There's so many people that really like Uphold. And that's to each their own. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you my experience. If somebody asks me, notice I don't ever talk about it, but if somebody asks me point blank, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them. Let's see. Canary Capital flat, XRPN flat, XRPNU up 3%, XRPNW up 2%, USDT up about 1/3 of 1%. We'll see if this continues. That's the dominance for the stable coin. We'd like to see this start to roll over, but it's we got to see it roll over before it rolls over. Bitcoin dominance is at 59.6 now. Did have a quick dump out. Now it seems to be reversing back up. Now, if that ends up being a recovery, that could further lead Bitcoin to some appreciation. But I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at this. I'm going to go do what I got to do around the house. I got to go. Now there's so much snow coming down. I want to make sure everything's good. I accumulated my XRP at an average of 50 cents over a period on Uphold. Then they started asking all manner of invasion questions, so I left them and never looked back. Time only solidifies. Yes, John, that's when it starts. When they start asking, that's when it starts. That's how it started. The invasive questions. Will ROUSD break the top 5 stables this year? Couldn't care less. The more money in ROUSD means less money in crypto. It's in a stable coin. That's not where you want it. That means it's in the stable coin. So the more money in the stable coin, the less in the volatility of our actual asset. Very invasive questions. Oh, I know. I remember when they were asking them. Trust me. It was pretty insulting after paying 1 year $20,000 in taxes, and then they asked the ridiculous questions after. Let's see. And John Boogerthorpe, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. You were here when the person who warned us, who had over 6 figures on Uphold, and they couldn't get it. And they're the ones who said, I did the same thing. Well, it hasn't happened to me yet. And they're like, understood. Are you going to wait until it does? So then I started taking the stuff out. And by the time I got 90% off, they blocked that last 1,000 XRP. It refused to send it. For a couple weeks, it said pending. And then all of a sudden, they said we had to close your account and we had to make a difficult decision. No recourse. And that's exactly how it started. Thanks, Tom. Great live. Apart from Uphold, bit laugh out loud. Well, it's not. Julie, look at it outside. Look at it. We went from extreme rain to blizzard.
This is what I wanted yesterday.
Oh, and I'm charging our Delta thing, Julie. Our power generator. Worked great yesterday, actually. And it tells you how many hours it has. Even at 30%, it had 24 hours. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen with our power. We're having an extreme wind today, too. Let's see. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't want to demoralize or diminish your question, because that's a great question. Because if RLUSD is a top 5 stablecoin, that would mean that Circle or USDT, Tether, and some others are losing their market share. So that's actually a good question. Now, if it continues to rise, it would hurt our what we want to do. Oh, don't jump in the shower. Very unsafe. Yeah, Julie, don't jump in the shower. Well, she can't technically jump anyhow because of her foot. Small joke. They closed my buddy Uphold for good because he was sending it to Coinbase Wallet. That is another thing. That's what got me in the hot water when we tried to send it to another exchange. That's exactly what happened. Thank you, Glaucoma, at that, for sharing that information. I don't like to share that information about some of this stuff because it makes me lose my own audience. People are like, well, Ripple has such a big, love affair with Uphold. I wonder why. Remember when Uphold came out and said they were going to create the XRP wallet? I bet you not a lot of you remember that. And they were going to keep a storage for XRP, their own cold wallet. Remember what they did? They put a monthly fee on top of it. They poached all the XRP users and said, put your XRP here. We're going to have your own XRP wallet. Remember that big thing? Then they made it a monthly fee. Absolutely. If you're sending it from one exchange to the other, they absolutely know where you're sending it. 100% they do. 100%. If I send something from Coinbase to Kraken or Kraken to Uphold or Uphold to Crypto.com. They absolutely know which exchange it's going to. Yeah, they called it a subscription. Yep. Because you're in a wallet. It's got a public ledger. If you think your wallet is hidden, you haven't studied crypto with the emergence of the regulations, have you, everybody? It wasn't supposed to be so traceable when it first came out. That's why there was such a big run on it. But now it's become everything it wasn't supposed to be. So, you know, you're talking about the avid ones that actually understand it, like me, who are being phased out because we understand what's happening with the Clarity Act and everything. This isn't by accident that this is starting to happen. This is a nervous time though. Nervous energy. Very nervous energy. Because if this falls if this doesn't hold, it's going to be I could come back on here later if this didn't hold and be like, oh man, that was brutal. If this holds though, we've got upward volatility to still take out. It's pretty remarkable with all of the volatility that we've maintained this level, if I'm being honest. It's remarkable that it hasn't just fallen flat. If it was going to fall over, it almost seems like there's more to come. But I always say expect the unexpected. That's all we can do. Expect the unexpected. I'm okay with the expecting the unexpected, to be honest. Let's see. I don't really see anything that's popping up alert-wise because I always have them on the blockchains and just different volume. The only thing that I'm seeing is it seems to be a pretty pedestrian bounce in gold and silver right now. And crypto, despite all this added liquidity that could be sent this way, it's looking really pedestrian right now. Like super pedestrian. Which makes me wonder what's going to happen with oil here today. What's going to happen with the US dollar? Let's see, the NASDAQ is down about 0.6% or $156 or 156 points. The S&P 500 is down about 3140 or 0.45%. And the Dow is down 246 points or 0.5% right now. Man, that snow is coming down hard. PLG's down 6.4%. Platinum's down 15.8%. Gold's down 4.5%. Gold-silver ratio is up 5.6%. Gold, B2 Gold's down 3.1%. But remember what I used to talk about? Even with all these things coming down, with B2 Gold's at $33. It's not $14 anymore, even with that drop down. B2 Gold's at $454. It's not $230 anymore, even with the 5% drop. Hecla's still almost at $20 with a 4% drop. Pan America Silver is over $52 still with a 5% drop. Yep. That's definitely another thing to consider. That's another thing to consider, that carry trade unwind. Absolutely. With Japan raising rates, that's definitely something that has to be weighed in. Definitely something to be weighed in here. So I'll give you updates as the day goes on. Had another buddy, the first day he opened his account, tried to send $5,000 to the other side of the world. They closed his account and sent his money back through bank transfer. Or at least they sent his money back. Glock. At least they sent his money back. Isn't it funny how the coins that are doing good are the ones that protect your privacy? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I always speculate, are these privacy tokens even private? Or is it just a fancy title we're giving digital tokens? Because are any digital token really privacy based now with all of the regulation? I am starting to think no. XDC's up 1.8%. Starting to rotate back down though. It can't run unabated. It just can't do it on its own. But it's definitely making step back test right now. It's back testing this move. The projection was if it could hold this area that it would come up to 555 at least. But we'll see if it has to come back down and back. It's all going to be, this is all going to be determined by the farther, that's the better question, Happy Fox. That's the better question. How private is private in this space now? Not very private at all, if I may say so myself. Thank you all for tuning in. I encourage you to join Tom's Army. Get into the Telegram. No super chats or joining of Tom's Army or anything like that the last couple of days, which is normal. In this extreme volatility, just make sure you have your plan in place. Make sure you know what your narrative is. Like, this looks like it's ready to rotate down if this continues. And we could come all the way down here. If it breaks this little structure, I don't think I'm ever going to trade Axelar again once I get rid of it. If it breaks it down, it's just not in my interest right now. It used to be, but not anymore. So there's a lot of things that used to be in my interest in crypto that I couldn't give a crap about anymore, to be honest with you. And it really punches you in the face sometimes too when you see how manipulated some of these movements are. And what I mean by manipulation is not some asshole sitting in the back room saying, "Oh, I'm going to screw over retail." I mean, they turn off the buys and they turn off the sells in the trading algorithms. And that's how you get those quick squeezes up, dramatic squeezes down. That's what I personally believe is going on in crypto now. And once you get to that kind of a game, I mean, it's one of those things. If we ever have a 10x move in alt season, where's it going to be from? You know, where's it going to be from? Are we going to be 90% lower, or are we going to be 30% lower when we actually get a move? Happy Fox, I mean, true. Very true. But I can tell you, if this rotates down and we do lose this, I'm probably forward only going to own once I were to build it back up. It's going to be a very defined focus. Very defined. And this would even go goodbye by ADA, and it would just transfer more into something like Algo or something cheaper. I'm just being serious. A lot of this stuff that I hold faith in would just diminish. You know, just diminish. And for all intents and purposes, a lot of this is, we're almost on our life support cycle here. Shiba at 732, yes, it's up a little bit from where it started, but look at that rotation back down right after the move up for SHX even. Engulfing in the 3 hourly, engulfing in the 4 hourly probably. But we need to see if there's any kind of, it's everything. Everything did the same thing. So we need to see if these are inverse patterns, which they are set up right now, to push up to the 200-day. That's what we're waiting to see today. Otherwise, if this rotates down and we lose this, you really have there's really nothing left here until we go down to the next layer if this happens. I love it though. I like being optimistic and also cautiously optimistic. I like watching all the markets. I enjoy doing this with all of you. The good news is at least silver came down to that weekly gap area as predicted. Very quickly at that, but at least our observation was correct. And we'll go forward from here. Be blessed, everybody, and I will see you guys later on. And hopefully you take this from an emotionless